What's good with y'all, man? Appreciate y'all for coming back to the channel. Appreciate y'all for clicking on the video. Go ahead and make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. We do have a goal over here, and that goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I think we can do it. You guys have been killing it on the engagement these past couple of videos, so there's no reason why we should stop now. Now listen, today I have an interesting video for you guys. We're going to be covering Candace Owens and how she made her appearance on the Whatever podcast. Now, Candace Owens is a conservative personality, and she doesn't usually go on dating podcasts like the Whatever podcast. But I'm going to go ahead and let her explain to you how her line of thinking has been a little bit morphed, not for the worse, but she says she's learned from hoes. So we're going to see what that means. So without any further ado, let's get to it.
So let me just set this up for you before I show you a few clips from the show. Essentially, I was invited to sit down. Every girl across the table said what they did for a living. One girl was a singer, and she leaned conservatively. But everyone else, there was one girl who was on OnlyFans, but she only takes her top off. There was another person who was on OnlyFans. There was two women that were prostitutes and said, essentially, that they help to save marriages. Yep, you heard me correctly. Because of them and the work that they do as prostitutes and as sex therapists, they sleep with your man so that your marriage can be saved. Now, of these two proud prostitutes, one of them was just 22 years old. And I'm going to show you guys a clip of her talking about how men that date her are actually insecure. Take a listen.
I've had no issues being a legal prostitute just because I haven't been dating anybody within this time for that year. Mm-hmm. As for everything else, it's hard dating. I've ran into a lot of insecure men. Typically, those are the ones that can't handle me doing what I do for work. And
just a point of clarification. So you've run into a lot of insecure men, and are they insecure because they don't want to date you because you are currently active as a prostitute?
No, I'm saying I've never dated a guy while I was working at the brothels, at the Bunny Ranch or the Mustang Ranch. But I've been dating guys like between me doing camming and dancing. So that's what I'm talking about.
But you mentioned insecure men. What specifically are they doing that makes them insecure? Is it because they're insecure about your work?
Yes, like I've had exes in the past that would cry about me going to work to dance at the strip club. Okay. I've had guys try to control like what I wear and say that I can't work at strip clubs or do OnlyFans or whatever.
Was there more?
No, and that's
okay. Is it because they're insecure, or is that just them having boundaries and standards?
I feel like I mean, you knew what I was doing before you met me, right? So all of them knew exactly what I was doing before they met me, which brings it to, if you have a problem with what I do before you meet me, maybe don't get involved with me.
Sure.
I'm very open. I'm a very honest person. You knew what I was doing before you met me. If you don't like it, there's the door.
Man, this 21st century is a motherfucker, ain't it? Now, listen. I don't know if those men are insecure at all. I think those men are stupid. They're stupid because they allowed I think some of it has to do with a little bit of ego. I think some of it has to do with the uncontrollable lust that they may have gotten from this woman. The woman gives off sex vibes, you know? She works in the nightlife. And I've always said this, you can take the girl away from the nightlife, but you can never take the nightlife away from that girl. Once she's been in that environment, she's always going to have a taste for it, a desire for it. It's just like a drug for a lot of women almost. And this woman is at the height of the nightlife. She strips, she does OnlyFans, she is a legal prostitute, like she said. I don't know really where this world is going to, at least the women of this world are going to. But I think it's about time we pull the reins back in as men and just as people in general. I think women have just as much of a part to play in this as men do. But here's a new suggestion, and we'll get right back into the video. I was thinking about this on my drive to school this morning, and I think that from now on, and this is just a suggestion. I'm not saying everyone has to do this, but I know I'm definitely going to do this or start enacting this, but I think men should, from now on, start proposing a 50-50 split for the first date. And if that girl doesn't want to see you again, it's just proof in the pudding that she's not really that interested in you, right? The first date shouldn't be something extravagant where you're coming out of pocket that much. It should be maybe a $20, maybe a $15 bill for the both of you. But if you're paying God only knows how much on a first date, then there's a problem with that, right? But let's get back into the video. I mean, there's a lot more to be said here.
So here's the first thing that I want to say. I thought that sitting across from these young women, it was going to make me angry. But what I actually felt was a tremendous sadness for that young woman that you're listening to, because I have a daughter. And the concept of a 22-year-old young girl sleeping with up to 10 men per night, which is something that she mentioned earlier in the show, 5 to 10 people, clients that she will see in one day, actually saddens me. It breaks my heart. And to listen to her justify why her relationships are not working out and to place it onto insecure men, as she describes them, and not her line of work, not actually what might be men caring about her, men wanting her to get out of this lifestyle. Does she have a point that, well, they already knew I was doing this? Yeah, okay, sure, you're right. They probably shouldn't have been drawn to you in the first place. But the point is that once they try to get you away from this lifestyle, it's not an indicator of insecure men. It's actually could be an indicator that people think that you're better than the career that you have.
I'm going to chime in really quickly here and then we're right back to the video, but I think Candace hit the nail right on the head. I think that, number one, those men shouldn't necessarily be seeking women like that out for relationships. A lot of men think that they're capable of turning women who used to be promiscuous into a woman who is going to be monogamous, which is almost very impossible to do. And I also think that if somebody is trying to do that, if somebody wants to do the unthinkable, right, and try and change your life for the better, just means that they care about you. However, I do think some of the responsibility does fall on the man's shoulders if the relationship goes astray. And I'll tell you why. I think if the relationship goes astray, yes, you have to be responsible because that's the woman that you chose. However, it's not insecurity, right? Things like camming and OnlyFans and prostitution don't do anything to help the relationship.
Her justification is that she's making money. Later on, she says that she's going to get out of sex work and then she'll be fine and she's just going to get married happily ever after. When I explained to them why it was that none of them were in relationships, barring the one 31-year-old on the far right that was sitting there and who is, I think she was 32 or 31 and is currently not married, that of course, when men learn and you are older and in your 30s or in your 40s, that you used to be a prostitute, it is going to narrow your prospects, not because men are insecure, but because men have standards, right? And men should have standards. Which brought us forth to the topic of what is being dubbed HoeFlation. A friend of mine, Paul Joseph Watson, has a YouTube channel, and he spoke about this concept of HoeFlation, hoe plus inflation, where when your grandparents, or rather your grandfather was growing up, he had to do less work to find him a high quality woman, a woman that wanted to stay in the home, a woman that dressed conservatively, a woman that wanted to raise the children, a woman who did not want to be out sleeping with tons of men or putting her naked body on the, well, of course, then non-existent internet, right? Wanting people to see her naked. Now he's saying men have to work harder to find those same women. So they call this concept HoeFlation. And you are seeing it in this environment as you speak to these women and they talk about how the money that they get is a justification for this lifestyle. And they speak down about men. They have this fundamental hatred of men, or rather a lack of understanding of what a quality man even is and where to find him. I'm going to show you another clip from this conversation where that same young woman, who I honestly felt like, and I never say this, that she was possessed by a demon. She really was. And she was growing frustrated in me remaining logical and explaining to her that obviously her career was going to follow her for the rest of her life. And she tried to, I guess, trigger me as she was explaining how she saves marriages. And she tried to trigger me by creating a what if scenario regarding my own husband. Take a listen to her. And I do want to go ahead and put a trigger warning on because you may have some kids in the background. This is not something for children to hear. She's really about to jump into her brothel mindset.
Really quickly, before they jump into that, I do want to touch on a couple of the things she just mentioned. So she mentioned HoeFlation, and that's a topic that I actually mentioned to my mom the other day. I didn't pull any punches, and I actually used the word HoeFlation with my mom to kind of describe to her what it's like trying to be somebody who's dating in their 20s these days. It's not a fair or a safe place to be dating, I don't think. And I also wanted to touch on the fact that she said she believed that woman was possessed by a demon because of her arguing tactics. But it's clear that Candace isn't typically around that crowd or environment or that age group for that matter. But that's just really how all women who are in this modern day argue. And I don't think it's completely their fault. I think a lot of it has been propagandized to them that they should hate men. But let's go ahead and get back into the video and we'll see what Candace is talking about.
I would say, take a listen.
A lot
I
of the
disagree.
perversion that comes if you are not going to be acceptant with your partner. If he comes to you and is like, hey, I really like getting pegged. I want you to peg me. And you're like, ew, that's so disgusting. Like, I would never do that. You want me to eat your I would never do that. Well, then, okay, what are you going to do? Divorce him? Or what are you going to do? Realistically, I'm asking you I'm asking, hold on, I want to know, what are you going to do? That's your husband. He's like, hey, babe.
I think one of the things about marriage that's really beautiful is I know what my husband, before we got married, I think I know who he is.
But things change, and maybe he wants to start exploring.
He wants to start doing what?
So he wants to start exploring, and he's like, oh my gosh, maybe I do want you to like eat my ass, and I kind of want you to peg me. Like I kind of want anal penetration from you because you're my wife and you're so beautiful and hot, and we're married and we have kids together, and I'm feeling a little bit kinky, and I with you, since we have this special marriage and bond. How would you feel if we could just try this out just this one time, babe, please?
I think it would probably indicate to me that my husband was involved in some perverse world, whether it was through pornography, that something else was happening on the side, because these aren't normal things that people just think of when they wake up.
So
like,
what's your next
I'd
move?
really like a strap-on dildo.
Okay, right.
Well,
so what's your next move?
What's the ultimatum? He's going to divorce me if I don't peg him?
So what's your next move?
Crazy. I would think that individual would probably need therapy and not the kind that you give. Yeah, when I was saying not the kind that you gave, I was pointing to a woman that was in her 40s who said that she's a sex therapist and she sleeps with other women's husbands, and it actually helps their marriages. Yeah, so what was weird about that is suddenly it seemed like she was suffering from a demonic possession, like she was just a Chucky doll, and she was just trying to say the most perverse thing that she could possibly say to trigger me. I didn't feel triggered by it. I felt disturbed that a 22-year-old was even coming up with this concept, and I realized that her entire reality had been warped because she works in a brothel and she sees up to 10 clients per day.
Man, if you guys are liking this video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and definitely like the video so we can get this video out there. But this is repulsive. It's actually an atrocity because when you look at it, this is just one of millions of women that exist in big cities in today's America. I currently live in a big city, one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the world, not just in the United States, but when I look around and I see all the city girls that live in my city, and I see all the women who are profiting off of desperate, lonely, and insanely horny men, it does sadden me a little bit because it does make me feel like I'm not going to be able to find a partner in my city, and I'm going to have to relocate just to find a suitable partner. I really am considering moving to a more rural area so that way, you know, I'm not plagued with talking to as many city girls or big city girls as possible. But I think Candace going on this show is very interesting because Candace doesn't usually go into spaces like this, and for her to see firsthand what American women have sort of devolved into it's very amazing. It's very insightful, and it's very like I said before, interesting. It's not something that, it's not a crossover that you usually see. And I think she eloquently answered a lot of the sick questions that these OnlyFans prostitutes wanted to ask her. And I think there's one more segment in this video where she reviews some of her time on the show, and I want to show you guys that, and that'll be the last segment. But let's get into it.
Why she's wearing a cross around her neck? Take a listen.
Well, wait, hold on. Is that a cross necklace?
It doesn't constitute, like, what do you,
Wait, okay, really quick.
Not everybody's
Since
religious.
we're talking about religion really quick. Okay, you have a cross necklace, but then your shirt says "Made in Hell."
Yes, it does.
I'm a little confused.
Ironic,
Can you...
I mean,
I'm a little confused.
the stone is red, so it matched, you know.
But why are you wearing a cross on your neck?
Are you color coordinating with your necklace?
Because I don't see a cross as religious, so...
Okay.
I
Just
thought
like you
necklace
don't
was
see a
cute.
marriage as religious. So
I don't think that a marriage...
have meaning. This is why it's like we're out of stage where people are like, what is a woman? Because they just go, well, we're going to call it a marriage, but we're going to sleep with other people. We're going to bring in prostitutes. We're going to outsource raising the kids, or we're never going to have kids. You're calling it a family. It's not a family, and this is what it is. The words have no meaning, right? I'm wearing the cross. Why? I don't know. I don't think of it as religious. Okay, well, Jesus Christ died on the cross.
You think that.
That's what you think.
Wait.
It's
That's
been
what you
proven.
think.
So why are you
It's been
wearing the
proven.
cross?
And sex
Because I think it's
worker
cute.
is
You
a
just
I
think
think that
more
the design is cute.
Yeah.
better term.
Wait, really
I
quick.
grew up
Hold on.
Catholic. I was religious, and I'm not
Prostitution,
anymore. I
being
don't have to
called-
believe in what you believe, and I can say that if
I didn't
somebody's...
say you had to believe. I asked you a question.
But
I
you're
said, why are
telling
you
me,
wearing the cross?
Okay, and you're saying that the religious aspect of marriage is the only thing that matters. It's not, because people don't follow what you believe.
Okay, I asked you why you're wearing the cross, and you said because you thought it was cute.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
glad
do.
we got an answer. She's wearing the
Okay.
cross around her neck because she thinks it's cute.
I do.
Would
I'm
you
not religious.
also wear like a Star of David?
It's cute.
As
Well,
like
because-
if it was cute, would you wear
Well, okay,
it?
well, I
I just
don't know
mean like
where we're going-
I'm
where this is
asking that
going.
because I wonder
Well,
like
I
my
have-
guess is that you would think that
gotta talk.
maybe you wouldn't wear a Star of David because you're like, oh, this is maybe like disrespectful to people who are.
Are you making the
Jewish.
argument? Maybe, I mean...
No, I'm just
The secular...
It's a very good question.
I'm just
Why she's wearing a cross around her neck? Take a listen.
Well,
But
wait,
it's
hold on. Is
Like
that a
saying,
cross
It
necklace?
doesn't constitute,
Yeah,
like, what do you,
Wait,
yeah.
okay, really quick.
Not everybody's
Since
religious.
we're talking about religion really quick. Okay, you have a cross necklace, but then your shirt says "Made in Hell."
Yes,
Can
it
you-
does.
I'm a little confused.
Ironic,
Can you...
I mean,
I'm a little confused.
the stone is red, so it matched, you know.
But why are you wearing a cross
Are you
on your
color
neck?
coordinating with your necklace?
Because I don't see a cross as religious, so...
Okay.
thought
Just
the
like you
necklace
don't
was
see a
cute.
marriage as religious. So these
I don't
words
think that a
they don't
marriage-
have meaning. This is why it's like we're out of stage where people are like, what is a woman? Because they just go, well, we're going to call it a marriage, but we're going to sleep with other people. We're going to bring in prostitutes. We're going to outsource raising the kids, or we're never going to have kids. You're calling it a family. It's not a family, and this is what it is. The words have no meaning, right? I'm wearing the cross. Why? I don't know. I don't think of it as religious. Okay, well, Jesus Christ died on the cross.
You think that.
That's what you think.
Wait.
It's
That's
been
what you
proven.
think.
So why
It's
are
been
you wearing the
proven.
cross?
And sex
Because I think it's
worker
cute.
is
You
a
just think
more
that the design is cute.
Yeah.
better term.
Wait, really
I
quick.
grew up
Hold on.
Catholic.
than
I was religious, and I'm not
prostitution,
anymore. I
being
don't have to
called-
believe in what you believe, and I can say that if
I didn't
somebody's-
say you had to believe. I asked you a question.
But
I
you're
said, why are
telling
you
me,
wearing the cross?
Okay, and you're saying that the religious aspect of marriage is the only thing that matters. It's not, because people don't follow what you believe.
Okay, I asked you why you're wearing the cross, and you said because you thought it was cute.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
glad
do.
we got an answer. She's wearing the
Okay.
cross around her neck because she thinks it's cute.
I do.
Would you
I'm not religious.
also wear like a Star of David?
It's cute.
As
Well,
like
because-
if it was cute, would you wear
Well, okay,
it?
well,
I just
don't know
mean like
where we're going-
I'm
where this is
asking that
going.
because I wonder
Well,
like
I
my
have-
guess is that you would think that
gotta talk.
maybe you wouldn't wear a Star of David because you're like, oh, this is maybe like disrespectful to people who are.
Are you making
Jewish.
the argument? Maybe, I mean...
No, I'm just
The secular...
It's a very good question.
I'm just
Okay, this is kind of crazy, but I will wrap it up here. Remember to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Listen, I will say, I am nobody to judge whether someone is religious or not, right? But I do think if you're going to wear a religious cornerstone like the cross, you do have some obligation to be affiliated with that religion in one way or another. Like if I wear a turban or if I wear a yarmulke, right? I shouldn't be not affiliated with those religions. I shouldn't say that I'm independent of that religion if I'm wearing that religious cornerstone, if I'm wearing that religious symbol. It's just not right. They posed a question and asked her, would you wear the Star of David if you thought it was cute? And she said that that's different. Now, yes, it's a different symbol, but they are the same in the idea that they represent religions. So if you're going to say that one is okay to wear and one is not, then that's hypocritical. And it's very hypocritical that she's wearing a cross with a shirt that says "Made in Hell." It's just very disrespectful. It's completely contradictory, and it just doesn't serve any purpose, right? She said she's wearing it because it was cute and it matched. And if that's any indication of where our country's going, then I think we are in the middle of a shitstorm. If you guys like this video, like I said, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like the video so as many people can see it. 1K by the end of the year, that's the goal. I'm out.